Weather and music, lots of times they go together.
Music meteorology is everywhere. Music and science combined with weather. We explain the science behind the song.
It's air you can wear.
Welcome back to another edition of Weather Music Myths. I'm meteorologist Alex Carter. In this segment, we take songs that mention fact or fiction about the weather, and then we explain the science behind it, or we simply pick a song that has a metaphor that relates to our weather pattern. This time around, it's a little bit of both. Now, this is a song by John Denver. Believe it or not, we're talking about the equator and the winds along it. And believe it or not, those winds along the equator have a role in our winter weather pattern. So let's talk about it with a John Denver classic. Many of you might not be aware of this one. It's a mellow hit to end the work week. It's called Tradewind. Let's go ahead and give it a listen.
Tradewind, filling my sails with a soft and southerly breeze, living on the ocean blue.
So John Denver calls it a southerly breeze. It's actually not. It's more of a east to a west breeze that runs along the equator, particularly the eastern Pacific Ocean in this example. So we're under La Nina watch. What does that mean? Well, a La Nina is a weather pattern where the winds on the equator lead to cooler water temperatures in the eastern Pacific. That leads to certain impacts for the continental United States for about 3 to 6 months at a time. And for the winter season, we could see warmer, drier weather. But before we get into what it does for us, let's talk about how it happens. These trade winds, especially along the eastern Pacific Ocean, they move from east to west. And usually in this setup, they're a little bit stronger than normal. This moves all of the warm water back towards Indonesia and the West Pacific. Meanwhile, the cooler waters of the lower Pacific Ocean, deep down in the ocean, it's a process called upwelling. Those cooler waters move to the surface, and in turn, it brings most of the rainfall back towards Indonesia and areas near the western Pacific. So what does this mean all for the CSRA's weather pattern? Well, believe it or not, it actually has direct impact. So the jet stream, as a result of all of the rain shifting towards the western Pacific, becomes more amplified. Amplified means it just becomes more of a wave. So it's going to go up and down more instead of staying even keel as we head through the winter. So multiple things with an amplified jet stream, right? Most of the time that stays up to the north. So as a result, we see warmer, drier weather most of the time. On top of that, you also get a few invasions of polar air. And when that happens, that's what can bring potential winter weather events like we saw last winter. So just because we're going to stay drier and warmer potentially for much of the winter season doesn't mean you still don't have a chance of maybe some wintry weather here and there. But for the most part, do expect some dry weather and some warm temperatures. The warm temperatures more than likely going to stay along the Sunbelt states and staying warmer than average for areas of the Northeast. So remember, when we say warmer temperatures, that doesn't mean we're going to see 80 degrees on Christmas Day. This means we're going to see warmer than average temperatures potentially for 3 months of a time, December, January, February. Also with the dry weather, most of that stays in the Sunbelt states, and the more wet, active weather happens in the Great Plains, Mountain West, and the Great Lakes region. So regardless, we are anticipating mostly dry and warmer than average winter season potentially if that La Nina actually happens. Right now, it's just something we're monitoring, but wanted to show you kind of, if you're not a fan of the cooler weather, how this forecast might play in your favor down the line. In the meantime, we have cooler than average temperatures. Behind the cold front this weekend, we are going to stay mostly dry, sunny, and mild. Temperatures in the mid-80s, lows in the low 60s. And again, thank you once again for another edition of Weather Music Myths. Always enjoy this. Send in those song recommendations on Facebook, YouTube, and e-news at WFXG.com.